We are starting with Postman. Postman is a API testing and development tool where we can test and design APIs. So it has a lot of functionalities with related to APIs. We can also create API documentations. We can test its performance and functionality. So we can handle all these API requests, get, post, delete, etc. So first we create a collection. So a collection will have a set of requests, API requests that are grouped together. So this collection allows us to structure the APIs correctly. So we create a collection called library. So we have some documents here. So these are some APIs created for a library with input JSON document which has name, ISBN code, and IL where it is present and an author. And we will use these APIs to put this document. So these are documents of books in a library. We will use Postman to make these API requests. So in a library collection, we create a new request. Here we give the type of the request as post. Post is to add something to the collection. So we have this base URL, and then so this is the base URL that we created. And then for this one, yeah, this add library add book .php. So this is the resource for adding, and then we have similar for deleting also, and get a book. So for adding here, we go to body and select JSON format. So we put this document here. So it says here successfully added with ID. It gives this message as response. So this is a request response. So we give this API request and get this response with status 200 OK, which means it is success. Now if we try to send this again, so this will generate an error that this book is already added because this number ID should be unique. So it combines this ISBN and IL number. Now this one book document is added into a library collection. We'll create another request to get a book. We select this get request type from here, and we have this endpoint for this. This resource we put, and we get an output of the exact document that we added. We can also write another thing like author name here and put the author name. Then we will also get the collection also with ID. With this ID that it generated, we can put this inside the API request endpoint, and we get this one book document status success 200. And now for deleting, same get comma get request here. We have this endpoint, and here we just put the ID as a document, ID of the book that we want to delete, and it generates this message. Book is successfully deleted. Now again, if we send this, now this gives a 404 error, which does delete book operation failed. The book does not exist since it is already deleted. So it handles all these API requests. Now we test this manually to see that this document that we get is same as this one that we add. So now we can have a lot of documents here, a lot of requests, and we can automate this testing of API function. This function to test the API, we can do it in automated format. So for this, in automation or manually, we can verify these API responses, the success codes that we get, verify this, and if the JSON schema is displayed as expected. So for this, we can create a schema that this document exactly matches the document that we have in add. So for example, if an author is missing, so we need to tell that in the schema that these fields should be present, and can automate that process. Also, the in query parameters, it stores this ID while we are making this request here. So we can automate this process of API testing. So to add book, get book, and delete ID request, all these parameters, we can put them to testing in order, and first add and then get and delete for example 100 books. So we can automate that process, validate the book ID and validate the APIs, implement an error. For example, if a delete request fails somehow, and then the same book will be added again, so that gives an error. So we can automate that process of deleting that book first, then adding. So all these things. Then we have environments here. So we can test our APIs. We can have all these functions on different environments. For example, an environment for development of APIs, an environment for testing. So we can use this to customize the behavior of a request, and we can switch between different environments to work on these APIs. And then we can create variables inside of these environments. Variables are values that we can use again and again if we want. In requests, we can use that as a reference, and we can store data in variable. So for example, we create an UAT environment, which is for testing, which is the final phase of testing as a user. So here we create a variable base URL. So here we will store this initial value, which will be the base URL. So we can use that variable here then to make the request. This will store current value as also the same. So when this variable is updated, so this current value will change. But if we export this collection environment to someone, then this initial value will be present at first. After some scripting, this value will change. So now, for example, we create another environment, QA. So also for testing. And here we put another URL. So different environments will have different URLs because they will be running on different servers. So all these endpoints will change for different environments. So we can work on different environments simultaneously.